Hello, this is Mr. Carlin, and I'm going to talk to you about your homework on functions, input, and output. See it right there. Functions, input, and output. We're going to do a couple questions on this. Let's look at question number 1. It says the equation W equals 52 times Y represents the number of weeks in W in Y years. Fill out the table and then graph the relationship on the coordinate plane. Okay, so we got a lot of things that we have to do with this problem. First off, we have our rule of W equals 52 times Y. W represents the number of weeks and Y represents the number of years. So in our table we have a column for number of years and a column for number of weeks. Now this first column, that is what we're going to call our independent variable. I'm just going to abbreviate IND. The second column is our dependent variable. The dependent variable changes based off of what the independent variable is. So, for number of years, if we use our equation W equals 52 times Y, and if we say the number of years is 1 year, so that means we multiply 52 times 1, and we say 1 year, then that means it's going to be 52 weeks. If our independent variable is 2 years, what is that going to change in our dependent variable? Well, that means that for 2 years, we're doubling it, so instead of multiplying it to 1, we're going to do 52 times 2. 52 times 2 is 104. So there's 104. Oh, that should be a 4. Let me do this. 104. There we go. Should be 104 weeks. So that means in 2 years, it's 104 weeks. If we say that it's 3 years, then that means we're using our rule to find the number of weeks. It's 52 times 3. So that means we're going to have 156 weeks. And then if it was 4, we would multiply 52 times 4, and that makes it 208 weeks. Then we can graph that in our coordinate plane down here at the bottom. So let's look at how that coordinate plane is labeled. Remember, we're talking about number of years versus number of weeks. As the years changes or goes up, so does the weeks. That's our relationship. So as we increase in years, we should increase in weeks. So for 1 year, we had 52 weeks. So this is like our X line, and this is our Y line. So we go over 1 for years, and then 52 weeks, and we put a dot. So 1 to 52. Then it's 2 to 104. 2 to 104. 3 to 156. 4 to 208. What would you guess 5 to be at? Well, if you could follow this line, this trajectory, or this line as it increases in years, if we were to go out to 5, then our dot should fall in that line at about 260. Okay, so that's how you would do number 1. Let's look on the next page here at number 3, because we're going to be doing looking at a graph and then writing an equation or a rule. So number 3 says the graph shows the number of building blocks B included in X boxes. It wants us to write an equation from the graph that could be used to find the total number of blocks B if you have X boxes. Okay, what we're going to have to do for this problem is we're going to have to first make our table for our independent and dependent variable, and then find the relationship in that table to write our equation. So what I'm going to do is just make a quick little table here. Our independent is number of boxes, so the amount of blocks depend on the number of boxes. So our boxes are our independent, and our blocks are dependent. Okay, and it says that blocks are going to be B and boxes are going to be X for our variables. Okay, now let's look at our table. If we have one box, that means we're going to have how many blocks? 14. So one box is 14 blocks. Two boxes is 28 blocks. That's a tongue twister. Okay. Let's go out to 3. 3 boxes is 42 blocks. And then 4 boxes is 56 blocks. Sorry. Okay. 56. Okay. Now we need to find the relationship. Like, what's happening? What are we doing to X to get to 14? Well, we could look at it as addition. What would I add to 1 to get to 14? Well, I could say 1 plus 13 is 14, but does that rule apply if it's 2? 2 plus 13 is 28? No, that doesn't work. So we're not going to use adding. We are increasing, so we're definitely not going to use subtracting, and we're definitely not going to use dividing. So the only other option is multiplying. So let's think about that for a second. What would you multiply to 1 to get to 14? You would multiply it by 14. Does that work if I multiply 2 by 14? What's 2 times 14? Well, it's 28. So far that rule's working. After it works 3 times, then it is a true rule. So what would I do? What would happen if I multiplied 3 by 14? Oh, let's look. Calculator. 3 times 14, it is 42. So our rule is that we are multiplying our independent variable by 14 each time, and that is changing the outcome of our function for our dependent variable. So that means our rule is going to be the number of boxes of X times 14. So it's 14 times X equals the number of blocks. And that's how we get our equation from our graph. We take it, make a table, find the relationship between independent and dependent variable, and then write that as an equation. I hope this helps. If you have any questions on any other problems in your homework, you need to make sure to check with your teacher.